Everyone, and it really feels like everyone is having the wrong conversation about AI and content creation. You might be asking, what should I automate? You're panicking about authenticity. You're worried AI is going to replace you or make you sound like everyone else. And I really get that. But you might be asking the wrong question. The question isn't, what should I automate? The question is, why am I doing shit that makes me miserable? Because this is what I see when I actually watch how coaches, consultants, and solo business owners work. And I really watch the way that I would observe something in a research study. You're already automated. You're just the robot. And that's what we're going to unpack today, because once you understand what's actually happening in your workflow, AI stops being scary and starts being the one thing that gives you your brain back. I'm going to talk about the pattern I see everywhere. Let me paint you a picture. You sit down Monday morning to batch content. You've got your Notion template, you've got your caption formula, your content pillars, and you're being strategic. You write 15 captions that week. Caption 1. Here's why mindset matters in business. Caption 7. Let's talk about why mindset is actually everything. Caption 12. Hot take. Your mindset is holding you back. Same insight, 15 different ways, because Instagram wants volume and you've been told that you need to show up consistently. Or you're creating carousel posts, you've got a template. Slide 1 is the hook. Slide 2 breaks down the problem. Slide 3 through 7 are your framework. Slide 8 is the call to action. So you're not designing these anymore. You're filling in Mad Libs at this point. Or you have the templates of 3 mistakes audience makes with topic. The number step framework for insert desired outcome. Why common belief is keeping you stuck. You've templated it in your brain. You're just manually executing that same pattern over and over because you think that's what you're supposed to do. And this is what is a little bit mind-blowing. You're doing creative work that isn't creative. You're doing strategic work that isn't strategic. And you're spending hours on tasks that you've already systemized in your head. You just don't know it yet. So when someone says, you should use AI for this, you panic. But what about my voice? What about authenticity? What if my audience can tell? And I want to shake you and say your audience already can tell because you're already doing it. You're just doing it in a way that is exhausting. Let me put my cognitive psychology hat on for a second and explain why this happens. There's a concept in behavioral research called cognitive load. And basically, this means that your brain has a limited amount of processing power at any given moment in time. So when you're doing a task that requires genuine creative thinking, like coming up with a new framework, writing something vulnerable and specific to your audience, or just talking about your experience, those kinds of things take a lot of cognitive load because your brain is working hard. But when you're doing a task that you've done 100 times before, your brain automates it. It creates shortcuts, it creates patterns, it creates templates. And this is actually a good thing in most contexts. It's why you don't have to think about it when you tie your shoes or drive to the grocery store. Your brain automates the repetitive tasks so that you can save time and processing power for things that actually need it. So the problem is what's happened in the online business world, especially when it comes to content creation. We've been taught that showing up consistently means posting consistently, that volume equals visibility, that if you're not creating 5, 7, 10 pieces of content a week, you're falling behind. So your brain said, okay, fine. If I have to write 15 captions a week, I'm going to create a template so I don't lose my mind. So you did, and you automated that process in your head. But this is where it gets messy because you're still executing it manually. You're still sitting there typing out each caption by hand, moving words around, finding synonyms, trying to make each one feel different enough when it's all coming from ChatGPT. So you're doing the worst of both worlds. The task is already automated in your brain, so it's not creatively fulfilling, but you're doing it manually, so it's also exhausting. And then on top of that, you're telling yourself a story about how doing it manually makes it more authentic, but it doesn't. What is authentic? Work that actually requires you, your lived experience, your specific weird take on something, the thing that you noticed that nobody else did. Filling in caption Mad Libs is not authentic. It is performative exhaustion. So here's what I want you to do before you touch AI. Audit your actual workflow, not your idealized workflow, not what you think you should be doing, but what you're actually doing today. Sit down and track your time for a week. Every content task. Write down. What am I creating? Have I created something like this before? Am I following a template or formula? Does this task require my specific brain, or could anyone with my template do this? And then ask yourself, what am I doing that I've already automated in my head? For most of you, it's probably going to be promotional captions. You have got the formula, you are filling in the blanks. Carousel posts on evergreen topics, same structure every time, different words. Email sequences. You've written the welcome sequence in your brain. You're just customizing it slightly for each lead magnet. The social proof posts. Here's what clients are saying. And that's the same format every time. Engagement posts. What's your biggest struggle with X? You're just swapping out a topic. None of this is bad. Templates are good and formulas work, and systemization is smart. But if you're manually executing something that you've already systemized, you are wasting your brain. And here's the thing, your brain knows it. And that is why you're exhausted. That is why you're procrastinating on content. And that is why batch days feel like pulling teeth. It's not because you're lazy, and it's not because you lack discipline. It's because your brain is screaming at you, why are you making me do robot work? I am capable of so much more than this. So the real question isn't, what should I automate with AI? The real question is, what am I currently doing that doesn't actually need my brain? And what would I create if I had that energy back? Okay, so now we get to the practical part. Once you've identified the work that you've already templated in your brain, the Mad Libs content, the formula-based posts, the stuff that you are phoning in anyways, that's what AI handles. Not because AI is better at it than you are, but because AI is better at repetitive execution than your very tired human brain. Here is how I think about it. AI is really good at patterns. It's really good at taking a structure and filling it in. It's really good at generating volume based on a template. But do you know what AI is terrible at? The weird specific thing that only you would notice. The metaphor that comes from your lived experience. The vulnerable moment that builds real trust with an audience. So let AI do what it's good at, and you do what you're good at. Practically, here's what this might look like. You write one really good caption about a topic, the one that feels true, authentic, and specific, and like it came from your actual brain. Then you can tell AI, give me 5 variations of this for different platforms, or turn this into a carousel structure, or make this work for a LinkedIn audience. You come up with the framework, the actual thinking part, the part that required your specific expertise. Then you tell the AI, turn this into a carousel template, or write this as an email sequence, or break this into social posts. You record a voice note with the messy, real version of what you're thinking and tell the AI, turn this into a polished caption, but keep my voice. So if you can see the pattern, you're doing the human part. That's the part that needs you, the part where your cognitive load is creating value. AI does the execution part, the part you've already templated, the part that's draining you without adding value. Here is what's wild. When you do this, your content often gets more authentic, not less, because you're not exhausted anymore. You're not forcing yourself to write 15 variations of the same thing. You're not spending your energy on work that doesn't matter. You are doing the thinking, the noticing, the connecting the dots in ways that only you can. So let's wrap this all up. The question everyone's asking is, will AI replace me? And I get why you're asking that. It's scary. The technology is moving fast and everyone has an opinion. But that is not the question that's going to help you. The question that's actually going to help you is, what would I do with my energy if I stopped performing productivity? Because right now, most of you are performing. You're performing consistent content creation. You're performing showing up. You're performing the appearance of strategy. And that is what's killing you. You're one good AI workflow away from remembering why you started your business in the first place. Because you didn't start a business so you could write 15 captions a week. And you didn't become a coach so you could fill in carousel templates. You started because you had something to say. And because you saw something other people were not seeing. Because you wanted to help people in a way that felt true for you. And somewhere along the way, building a business became feeding a content machine. So AI is not the enemy of authenticity. Exhaustion is. Being so burnt out that you're just going through the motions, that's what kills authenticity. So automate the bullshit and let AI handle the parts you've already automated in your brain, and use that energy, that precious limited cognitive load, for the work that actually matters and the work that needs you. The work that builds the real trust and the work that only you can do. And that is the work that's actually human. I'm Emily Newhoff. I'm a cognitive psychologist and behavioral designer, and I help business owners implement AI by actually understanding how humans work first. If you want help auditing your workflow and figuring out what to automate the right way based on actual behavioral research and not bro marketing bullshit, here is the links below. Stop being a robot. Let the robot be the robot. Thanks for watching.